This month, Fortune Bay announced that drilling is underway at Murmac Uranium Project in Athabasca Basin, Saskatchewan. Announced back in 2023, Murmac is under an option agreement with the company Manhattan Uranium Discovery. Funds from Murmac will advance Fortune Bay's Goldfields project. Dale Verran is CEO of Fortune Bay. Dale, welcome back to Mining Stock Daily.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having us.
Murmac is in the Athabasca Basin, which supplies 20% of the world's uranium. What have you found at the Murmac project that makes it so compelling, Dale?
Yeah, it's a fascinating project with really high potential. You know, it's in a previous producing uranium district, the Uranium City area, where there's been around 70 million pounds of produced historically. Interestingly, those previous mines, they mined granite, they mined these uranium occurring in these granites. It's a very different model to what we're pursuing. You know, that mining took place in the 50s, 60s, and it was subsequent to that they developed a model for these high-grade uranium deposits, typical of the Athabasca Basin, that occur along these graphitic rocks. Now, in our area, we have lots of graphitic rocks. Graphite is or graphitic rocks are the typical host rock for these high-grade Athabasca Basin-related uranium deposits. They occur in valleys, and they're covered. So historical prospecting for these granite-hosted uranium didn't focus at all on the graphite. So we've gone in there with this new model, and we've started work. We've had some tremendous results intersecting graphite structure alteration, and importantly, also some high-grade uranium from previous results. So we're really excited to get back and start testing a whole bunch of new targets and follow up on existing results in an area that has a huge uranium endowment.
Now, you do have a couple of drill holes in there. There is also historic, as you say, as well too. When did those drills go in?
Yeah, so we started we really got the project going in around 2021. We did a bit of initial work, a bit of drilling, and then we brought in a partner end of 2023 to fund that. While we retained focus on our Goldfields asset and deployed our capital there, we let Aero and now it's Manhattan Uranium pursue that uranium while we can keep a upside in that project.
Let's talk about the program now that you have planned with your partners. So I see that there's 5,000 meters of drilling that's planned. 25 targets is what you mentioned. What are you going to be targeting? What are you going to be matching against the past drill holes? And what's also going to be pure greenfield?
Yeah, I'd say about 30% we call follow-up holes. So what we're doing is we've had previous results, some mineralization in these graphites, and then it's really just stepping along strike. So following the graphite out, in this case to the northeast or southwest, and testing further along in favorable settings. So about 30% follow-up, and then the rest is greenfields. And I'm really also excited about the greenfields because, you know, we've got a good understanding of where the uranium typically is found, what geological settings, and there are lots of those analogies to where we found uranium previously on new targets. So we're going into these areas, good geological settings on the graphites. They're greenfields targets, but they have all the right geology in place for a discovery. So it's going to be a really exciting program.
Talk about how you're staging that. I believe that you start with Murmac, and then after that it's going to be following strike. But you're kind of giving yourself some optionality in terms of how the summer proceeds.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you need to be flexible and results driven. We've identified 15 targets at Murmac, so a really nice suite of priority targets there that we'll start testing. Obviously, if we get results, we'd follow those up immediately. We'll move across to strike at a later stage. And we've got I'd say 10 targets there roughly. And then, potential budget provision to come back to Murmac, depending how it goes. We like to keep things flexible, results driven, and, focusing on our top targets and get as many of those tested as we can.
Sorry again as well too. Is that's just the analyzing of the drill core that comes in, or what's the type of feedback loop that you would have on a program up there as you're doing the drilling?
Yeah, well, uranium's fantastic because you get your drill core out and you can immediately look at that drill core and run a scintillometer over it or spectrometer and get some early indications if there's mineralization or not. And it's typical for companies in the Athabasca Basin to then report those handheld scintillometer results through a news release and then followed up with the actual uranium assays, which, as we know, there's a bit of a turnaround on. So it's sort of real-time exploration allows us to release results and also initiate follow-up if we do see something in the drill core from the scintillometer.
How's the start of the season there right now, Dale? Contractors, weather, logistics, cooperating?
Weather, logistics has all been great. Contractors, there's always often a little bit of delays early on just to get into the groove. We've had some very minor delays, but nothing really material there. And the drillers have found a great groove. So, work's progressing on schedule and on budget.
Now, Goldfields is the flagship and the primary focus with Fortune Bay. What you're doing here at Murmac is going to be helping advancing Goldfields. How meaningful is that? How meaningful a contributor is that going to be?
Yeah, so Murmac's, partner funded. It doesn't dilute our shareholders. We retain upside. We operate those projects, on behalf of the option agreement. But we also continue, importantly, nearby at Goldfields, where we have this 1.2 million ounce resource. We've got fantastic economics from a PEA, and we're advancing that to PFS. So in parallel with the Murmac uranium drilling, we are still advancing Goldfields. We've got various components or activities happening on site through geotechnical investigations, environmental work, various de-risking activities as we advance toward a pre-feasibility study for that project. And that's really the company's focus is Goldfields, but we have this additional optionality and upside coming through partner-funded uranium exploration.
When do you expect to be publishing news, drill results coming out of Murmac?
It's drilling's ongoing, so any day we could get some results, and as soon as those are available, we'll make the necessary announcements. So keep an eye on the news. It should be an exciting program. We're going to be operating that area for it could be 3 months, 25 targets to be tested. So really exciting, and it's a large scale program. So there's lots of great targets to be tested. So just keep an eye on the news flow.
Dale, thanks for speaking with Mining Stock Daily.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having us.
The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.